First one, you got Rams at Baltimore. Rams plus 7.5 at Baltimore, by the way.
Okay, so Rams plus 7.5 at Baltimore. This is one of those things that you hear about all the time about, oh, the West Coast team going east. And that is difficult for them to win. But that almost has been baked too much into these point spreads, where over the last 4 years, West Coast teams going east are 51-33 against the spread. Now, what is not good about this is Harbaugh coming off a bye, and what is not good about this is the Rams. The way to get after the Rams is to have a legit pass rush to be able to get to Stafford, because the Rams do not have a great offensive line, and the Ravens this year, their defensive front has been as good as anybody in football. But the 7.5 for a Rams team that's been playing well, look at the Rams' losses this year. By 7 to the Niners, by 3 to the Bengals, by 9 to the Eagles, and again, that wouldn't have covered the 7.5, but that's 9 points. By 7 to the Steelers, and then they got blown out and annihilated by the Cowboys, and they got beat soundly by the Packers, but that was a game where the Rams' defense bowed up. They didn't get blown out because of the defense. Their offense just couldn't move the football. If you remember, I picked the Cowboys to annihilate the Rams because I didn't think the Rams could block them. I think the Rams' offense right now is a little better, and I could see this being a one-score game in the fourth quarter, but even if it's not, the Ravens have not been good at just stepping on teams' throats. They let the Chargers right back in that game. Obviously, they have 3 losses this year where they let the other teams come from way behind to win. The Rams plus 7.5 is a spot where at plus 6.5, I wouldn't take them. Plus 7.5, I just think that line's a touch too big. McVay understands that the Rams right now are positioned well for the playoffs. They're going to be up for this game. I like the Rams plus 7.5 at Baltimore. Next,
Houston minus 3.5 at the Jets.
Okay, so all the trends go against this. Stroud hasn't done well against the spread as a favorite. Road favorites coming off a long home stretch are like 26-44 against the spread the last 20 years. The Jets are on a long losing streak, which those teams tend to cover. I understand all the trends have this as a flatly square bet. But the fact of the matter is this. The Jets, DeMonze, here's a fun one for you. They've played 12 games, right? The Jets have. How many offensive touchdowns do you think they have for the season?
5.
Just give it a guess. Well, that's too low. You're bad at this game. 10 offensive touchdowns. 5. You saying 5 makes 10 not have the impact, just so you know. That's less than 1 a game. The whole team has 10 offensive touchdowns on the year. The Jets are going back to Zach Wilson after he begged to never have to play football again and then lied about it, in my opinion, at the press conference. I thought that was shameful. Aaron Rodgers wanting them to a Mission Impossible style mole hunt. Robert Saleh is staring at after last year finishing the year on a 6-game losing streak, potentially finishing this year on a 10-game losing streak. It's all bad with the Jets. And while I understand the Texans lost Tank Dell due to injury last week and that's going to hurt them, I believe in C.J. Stroud. I believe this Jets defense has had its soul sapped by the Jets offense.
Seattle plus 10.5 at San Francisco.
Okay. So, San Francisco, DeMonte hates this. DeMonte is officially afraid of the Niners. And the Niners blow people out. There's no doubt about it. And the Niners have had massive success this year and last year, including the playoff game against Seattle. What I'm talking about there is I think they have blown Seattle out. How many games in a row that they've played have they blown Seattle out? I'm going to tell you right now.
They blew them out in the conference championship last year. Or the game
in the
before.
Divisional round.
It was the
actually, you screwed me. I screwed myself up. The wild card round, they blew them out in. Because the Niners blew out Seattle and then beat Dallas and then lost to Philly.
Yeah.
But this year, they lost 31-3 2 weeks ago, did Seattle. in the wild card round. The Niners won 41-23 earlier in the year. They beat them 27-7, and then later in the year they beat them just by 8, 21-13. And so there has not been a lot of success for Seattle. In fact, there's been none against San Francisco the last couple years. But 10.5 points is too many points given the fact that the Niners are off, in my opinion, the wild emotional high of blowing out Philadelphia. It is just, there is no chance that the Niners are giving this game the attention they gave the Eagles game when that was for the 1 seed potentially. That was for revenge, to make it clear that they had gotten screwed in the NFC title game last year for all those reasons. The Niners, I think this is a obvious deep breath, foot off the gas, kind of overlook an opponent, especially because they just so thoroughly dominated Seattle in their last matchup. And Seattle is full on desperate. Seattle went from 6-3 to 6-6, and after the Niners, they have Philly. So if they're going to have any type of fight in them, they need to show up early in this game. I do not think Seattle wins, but this does feel to me like a potential 24-17 type of Niners win. And for that reason, I'll take Seattle plus the points. Next.
Did you already say that Purdy's 8-2 against the spread at home?
I did not. They blow people out. And the Niners are 16-4 against the spread at home in their last 20 games. But the flip side of that is Pete Carroll 55-40 as a home underdog. Geno 21-15 against spread coming off a loss. Just 10.5 points is too many points for a divisional game where one team just got a massive win and the other team is desperate. Next.
Vegas +3 versus Minnesota.
All right, so this is one where I look at the Raiders because of the coaching change and because I think they like and believe in Antonio Pierce, are going to have really made good use of the bye. I think Minnesota... Now, listen, both of these teams are coming off a bye. But the Raiders are... If they are going to have any chance at staying alive for the playoffs, they have to win this week and then Thursday at home against the Chargers. The Vikings are a good story and a well-coached team, but I don't think the Vikings are substantially enough better than the Raiders for the Vikings to be laying points in Vegas. This, to me, is a line that should be Las Vegas minus 1.5, and instead it's Las Vegas, instead of being even plus 1.5, Las Vegas getting a full 3 points. That's too many for Josh Dobbs on the road, especially after we just saw him play the worst game he's ever played. The Raiders plus 3 points is just clearly, to me, the sharp side of this, and I will take the home team. They are equivalent talent teams. They're both coming off a bye, and I'm getting a full 3 points with the home team. That's where I'm going. Peter Deeb says, if you're betting on Vikings Raiders, you have a gambling problem. Well, listen, you go where the value is. You can't have any favorite sons or daughters in this. All right, next, Demonze.
Kansas City minus 1.5 versus Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Kansas City wins. When it's only a 1.5 spread, you don't have to do much analysis. Who do you think is going to win? I understand there's a scenario where they win 28-27 and don't cover. But I think this is a disrespectful line. I understand the Chiefs are in a 5-week slump. The Bills have been in a 12-week slump. And the fact that the Chiefs are getting less than the full 3, the Chiefs were bigger favorites at home against Philly than against Buffalo. Once again, Vegas cannot quit the Bills. They just cannot quit the Bills. And Josh, this is not a playoff game technically, but it kind of is. And in people's mind's eye, Josh Allen is this legendary postseason performer. He actually isn't. He has played 8 career playoff games. 3 of them, he has been a fire-breathing dragon. 2 of them, he's been mediocre. And 3 of them, he's been downright bad. It's almost like even his playoff career is a bit of a roller coaster. So I think the Bills, the week off is helpful for them from a physical perspective. From a mental perspective, I don't know that it was because that team was in such disarray. I do think that, when I say that Vegas can't quit the Bills are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games. And Mahomes is 27-1 against the spread when it's 3 points or less. And so for all these reasons, I think Kansas City wins. I think Kansas City ends Buffalo's season. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.